Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we'll be going through the St Kilda versus Geelong game, in which St Kilda came from the absolute clouds to, steal it. They didn't really steal it, they just ran it straight over the top of Geelong in the end, winning by 3 goals, I believe it was. Yeah, 3 goals after being, I think, down by 5.5 goals at halftime. So they ended up flipping it. It was something like, I think it was maybe 10, 12 goals to like 3 after half time, I think, was it? Yeah, it might have been that. Or it might have been, 12 goals to 5 or something like that. It was something kind of crazy, and St Kilda they just looked unstoppable at points. Going on massive runs, and I think Geelong kicked the last 2 or something in the game to make it a lot closer margin. I think at one point it was 5 goals to St Kilda, so it was directly a 10-goal turnaround. But anyway, let's just jump into this game here. As you see, Jack Steele went absolutely huge. I think he ended up with a quadruple double as well as 2 goals there. So he ended up with 27 touches, 10 marks, 10 tackles, and 2 goals. He was absolutely huge. And it's kind of crazy that these guys can put up huge scores after like low first quarters. Like you see a 20-point first and then 128 in the last 3 quarters. He just was absolutely amazing. And that had only two tackles and a mark in the first. So he ended up with 8 tackles, 9 marks, and 2 goals in the subsequent quarters, alongside, I would guess, somewhere around 23, 22 disposals. But yeah, that second and third quarter, 92 between them was absolutely huge. And then in the last quarter as well, he did some really good work there and kicked his goals in the, just trying to find it here, in the second and fourth quarter. Wilkie, 135. I think he just had a really big first and third. He ended up with 15 marks. That's what a key back can do. James Sicily, if only you could have done that. Romo, 131, yeah, he dominated, and glad that I took the points there over Tristan Cherry against the West. Who was he against this week? Against Western Bulldogs. Sorry, I was thinking it was against West Coast, but he was against Western Bulldogs. Yeah, Tristan Cherry looked a little bit awkward at halftime, a 50-point first half, but then a 51-point third quarter was absolutely huge. For some reason, one of the free kicks in this quarter, I think it was this one here, he got a free kick against for his Hunter Clark running into the umpire, and it gave a free kick against Rowan Marshall, which was a weird one. So that was definitely one that they didn't even bother to look at, I believe. I think it was, somewhere in here. I think it was this one here. So that was just a weird one. But yeah, he just dominated the third quarter, and then in the last he put up a 30. If he puts up anything more than just hit outs and a couple of disposals in the second quarter and puts up a 25 there, and then that's an absolute huge score. Sinclair, 102, was the guy that I really wanted to go for if I could have actually got him. I just didn't have the cash to get him from Sicily, which prevented me again. So just like the cash generation is such a big tool at the back end of the year, because you're able to make these choices, and that 100k I could have probably made from other choices earlier on in the year is now coming back to again bite me, like it has already like 4 or 5 times. But yeah, Sinclair, he's just continuing on his merry way. Him and Steele have been sort of the resurgence after having a pretty poor run of it mid-season, and then both of them have come up trumps in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Marshall, Sinclair, Wilson kicked 2 goals, 3, almost kicked a third in the last, was it, or in the late deep in the, I think it was this one here in the third. He had a really good second half, or really just a really good game outside of the first quarter. 91 in the last 3, but he's a winger, so he's going to have up and down games, as we've seen. We know how wingers work. Higgins, 94, Wayne Malira, 87. He's just struggled. Considering the matchup, he just, really struggled and ended up with 21, 7 and 2. Memory ended up kicking only 1, but still ended up in the 80s, which is a good performance for a key. Clark Jones, I thought, had a really good patch, especially early on. He ended up with 21, 4 and 4, which is pretty good for the role that he's playing. But he's just really impactful for the amount of possessions he gets. Wood, Stocker, Battle, Webster, Dow, no one else here that I really like, and I don't think there's many that I really like in terms of future prospects. Maybe Hugo Garcia, if he can break into that mold of the midfield. But then again, Hugo Garcia, he's going to be priced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's 321 through 7, which is just over. Is that just over 45, give or take, I believe. So yeah, it's probably 46. 321 divided by 7, 45.8. So yeah, and then you take a little bit of a discount. So hopefully he gets another sub game, because say he does that again and gets a 21. 342 divided by 8 is 42.5, and then you times that by a little bit of a discount and you get him down at 40. Is he valuable at 40? Probably not. So you honestly need him to get like a 0 next week. A 0 next week would really help. Or yeah, a 0 next week would probably be the most impactful, because 321 divided by 8 is the 40, and then you get the discount on top of that and you get him down to a 37. Probably still not valuable there. I just don't see him. He's probably had enough, too many big games, this 71 included, and a couple of 50s to make him not valuable enough. You probably needed a couple more sub games, to be honest there. Bose 107, he had a huge last quarter, especially the last little bit here. You can see from the 29-minute onwards, he had a free kick against, but he had 6, 10, 13 points in 4 minutes, which is a pretty decent end to it to get up there. Reece Stanley, 96, 28, 22, 46. Humphreys had the biggest ton evasion I have seen this year on 82 points at halftime, and he doesn't even get there, and he's still a little bit off. And yeah, it looked very, very awkward, but that would have been... It would have been kind of crazy if he'd done a little bit more in the first half and then still ended up missing out on the time. But to be on 82 at halftime, to be on 51 at quarter time and then still miss out on it, it's kind of it's weird, to be honest with you, especially after this run here and to get up even before halftime to be on 82. Like, he was on 82. If we just try and figure this out, he was probably... What time did this quarter sort of end at? At least went to the 30s. I'm trying to think of what happened late on. Was there anything late on? 31 minutes as well. So he was on 82 with 4 or 5 minutes to go in time on in the second quarter, and he didn't make it to 100. Yeah, biggest ton evasion of the year. Colin Jasny, Sean Manor as well. He did really well. Would have liked a little bit better last quarter from Sean Manor there. If he had done, say, a 17 last quarter and gotten a 93, that would have been huge. But then again, he smashed Peatling's score out of the park. He smashed Hansen's score. He almost beat some of the on-ballers as well. Some of the midfielders that I had, like Caleb Sarong and others. And he almost matched it with, I think, Isaac Heaney as well as Zorko. And for a rookie, that's really, really good. I think he's one that... He could be valued next year almost, which is a weird thing. He is 67, so he's probably not going to be valued, but that's an interesting conundrum, because he's going to have forward status. Is he a guy that with non-sub minutes, is he a guy like you can see here? Can he develop into a guy that averages sort of 80, 85, sort of that Dylan Moore type of role? That'll be an interesting watch in the next season or so. Cameron Stewart had a shocker of a day, and yeah, he's had this come back down to earth type of moment, but he was crazy for that run here that he had. So yeah, not too disappointed. Dangerfield, Myers, Holmes as well has been really surprisingly poor in this last sort of 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, it's probably coincided with Geelong being a little bit poor, but yeah, he's been really, really bad. Guthrie, Dempsey, again, another sort of forward option that could push. He has pushed a little bit up the wing, but just as you see with wingers, very, very inconsistent scoring. Had his 20 touches, but did nothing non-disposal wise, and that's the problem with him. Henry Stengel, Atkins, Neal, Henry, Blikarv's close. Nevitt as well is an interesting one. I feel like he just needs to break into that midfield mould at Geelong, and it's going to take maybe a little bit because they still have Dangerfield in there. But if Tanner Bruin doesn't really pan out, which is what it's looking like, Tanner Bruin's been one that's at Geelong for his second year now, and yeah, he just isn't progressing in that midfield, and I think Nevitt could take over, and if Nevitt takes over, he's going to be priced 44 through 1, 2, is that just 2 games? So that would be 3 games now, I believe. I don't exactly know what he's averaging. Let me just bring that up, as that looks off, to be honest, that 44. So let me just bring it up. I can actually bring it up quicker here. I feel like he's averaging more than that, which will be annoying because Nevitt is a guy that I'm interested in. Oh, you know what happened? Yes, he's averaging 41.3 now, okay, through 4 games. And if he plays the next week, then we'll see what that does to his average, but that should see him get a 18% discount, which would price him at 33. Him at 33 next year, if they were to move players on, etc., etc., especially out of that midfield, even if they move wingers on, etc., which I don't exactly know what will go on, because I know Gary Rowan will go, whether they'll push someone up into that half space and give him a wing or on ball roll, then Nevitt could be an interesting one at 33. That's probably going to be roughly 300k, give or take, and that could be an interesting watch there. Mullen, Rowan, and then Duncan came on as sub. Duncan looks honestly cooked. He could be gone at the end of the year as well. But that is the video there going through the St Kilda vs Geelong game. If you did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe. Turn the notification bell on for future content. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Bye, guys.